and welcome to my channel. I'm Mandi Grace, author of 10 young adult novels so far, 8 of which I'm rewriting this year, potentially, if we stay on track, and welcome to vlog 16 of that adventure. If you can't already tell, I'm sick, once again. Yeah, this just keeps happening. Last week I was sick like almost every other day of the week, and so I wrote every other day of the week, and then Easter happened this past weekend, and then this week I've just not felt up to doing anything productive. It's now Wednesday, I don't really feel up to being productive, but I am, telling myself I have to at least try. I'm not going to go crazy today, but we're at least going to do something, and then see how much I can handle. We're going to go slow, pay attention to how my body's feeling, see when I crash and burn, which is going to happen. So far today what I've done is I've just been reading the work of another writer friend of mine, one of my Hedgie sisters. We're BFFs, which is within my writing group, called Best Feedback Friend. It's our version of a critique partner. So I was reading her stuff today to slowly get myself into productive things. It's technically the 3rd week of Camp Nano, which is what this vlog will be. It's the 20th though, so I say 3rd week very broadly. We are, I haven't looked at my document in like a week, I think 9 or 10 chapters into Dusty's story. That's in the new version. Working from the original version, I think we're still working through chapter 3 content. I think where I left off, Dusty was about to revisit her childhood home and face all of her grief and trauma from that, which leads to flashbacks, which interestingly, to me at least anyway, are scenes that were in the original time I tried to write the book, and then it wasn't working, so then I tried something else, and then yeah, Dusty had 3 like iterations. There was a false start, and then I actually wrote the book. The 2 false starts, I don't remember getting very far, like maybe a chapter or 2, but I really liked some of those scenes, so when I actually wrote the book, I incorporated them in flashback form, both in the part I'm soon to write, and then also way later down the story when she meets the man she marries. Still not feeling spectacular. But I did write. So I finished chapter 10, which is Dusty facing her grief, going back home. I sound very stuffy. Anyway, I mean I am stuffy, but I can hear it as I'm talking now. It's a long chapter, so on Google Drive it's 10 pages, and when I format the books down to the size that they are when I publish them, that becomes roughly twice as big, and 20 chapters, wow, my brain is not here, 20 pages is a lot for one of my chapters. I tend to keep my chapters between 10 and 15 pages. The point is, it feels very large, but I don't think it's anything that I would be able to split into 2 chapters, because it's just all Dusty facing this, and I don't want to break it up necessarily. And also I don't feel like there's places where I could necessarily add more. I don't know. I might actually cut stuff, because this section of the story is where I used the flashbacks to the scenes that were in the book, the version of the book that I didn't end up using. I'm not entirely sure the flashbacks are worth it. I like the idea of flashing back, but there's 3 in this chapter in the original, and the first one, she really wants to go pick dates with her dad, and she's not allowed to, and she gets a little conversation with the woman who is like her mentor growing up, which is an interesting conversation, but I don't know that it's necessary for the story. Like, it sets up the mentor, but all of this mentor stuff happened before Dusty's book began, so is it that interesting? Also, this mentor person is dead, so she's not going to be around. I don't know. And then there's one where she's like in the marketplace playing with some goats, and she has this cute interaction with a man who has a stall there at the market, and it's a really cute interaction, but like, I don't know that it does anything for the story. I might come back through and cut out the flashbacks, and that will, you know, drop the 20 pages down to 15. I don't know. Anyway, I'm debating keeping the flashbacks. They're cute scenes, and I kind of like the flashbacks because Dusty gets lost in her head and in her grief and is like not paying attention to what's going on around her. And it was easier to show that by taking the reader with her into the flashbacks and then being jolted back into the present. So I like the idea for that. And I also think it's kind of cute that I took the original trial of writing the book and kept those scenes as flashbacks. I thought that was very clever of me. But I also don't know that these flashbacks need to be here, so I'm debating on that. I know there are flashbacks later when she talks to Will, but I think those are more, I want to say necessary, but I haven't gotten there yet, so maybe not, I don't know. Also, side note that has nothing to do with my story, I did something unfortunate today. So I have one camera that I use for everything, but I have my AuthorTube, YouTube, you know, whatever, SD card, and then I have my like normal day, like me as a human card. This past weekend was Easter, so I had switched which SD card was in the camera, and today, because my brain isn't functioning and I'm sick, I did check. I pulled out the SD card to check that it was the YouTube one, and then I filmed my intro. But in fact, it was not. It was the other one. So now we're on the correct SD card, but I also have to move the intro over to my computer, so I have that video so I can delete it off of my normal, like, day-to-day life SD card because it doesn't need to be there. Ugh. Look at this sad week that we have been having, but we've wrote, I was about to say wrote. We've written, you guys. This is where my brain is at. We've written 3,000 words today. Given the way I just talked, I imagine those 3,000 words aren't great, and when I come back to them in the future, I'm going to be like, what was happening on this particular day? Because none of this makes sense. But we are 28,000 words into the story, written 3,326 today. We're doing great. We're still behind. We, have a ways to go to catch up to that bar. This has been going great. Just great. Also, completely unrelated to anything else. This scratch on my nose, don't know where it came from. I'm assuming myself. I just woke up one day this past weekend and had a slightly scabbed over scratch. I don't know. I think it was these dangerous nails I've got. Yesterday when I was writing was the first time I'd written in like a week, so I'm just like getting back into the story. When I was writing yesterday, Dusty had gone home to where she was born and where her family died and was like facing her grief for the first time in the story, so I'm probably going to pick up in that area before we move forward. We're almost to the end of the Crusades, so we're heading towards England and the actual like Robin Hood adventure soon, but I don't know how far into that her book specifically is going to go, because her book is more focused on like her love story and just like learning to open up and be vulnerable again, so I think it's gonna stop like at her wedding maybe or something, which is in the middle of the Sherwood shenanigans. That's not really relevant to today's content. Yeah, I think I'm just working on her facing her grief for the first time. I think that's where we're at. Hi guys! Long time no see. Do we wanna like roll like it's a regular prickle and talk about what we're doing, or do we just wanna get into it, or what's going on? This is so impromptu, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I was just running on like such a, I don't know, like emotional high, I guess, after we got off. And then we were ordering merch, and I was just like, I've got all of this energy now, and what do I do with it? So yeah, I don't know, I just went to write. I don't really know what I'm going to be doing. I haven't opened my document. I have no idea what's happening. I didn't write yesterday either, so it's not fresh in my mind at all. So I don't really have anything to like be like, this is what I'm writing, because I don't know. I'm going to pull it up and find out, and hopefully use this excessive energy from the retreat to like do something productive. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I learned a lot from the other Anya. That was a lot of fun. I feel like marketing is probably my worst aspect of being an indie author, or just an author in general, I guess, because traditional publishers, like, they have to market as well. Yeah, I never know what I'm doing or where to begin, and like even when I get tips or advice, like I have books on marketing that I have read, and I'm just always like, I don't know what's happening. It's blah, blah. I don't like it. I started as a teenager and did not know what I was doing or what was happening, so I did zero. Like, there was no marketing whatsoever. I was just like, let's publish a book. So that did not generate a lot of followers or, you know, people buying the book, because literally no one knew about it. So I would say definitely do some, but honestly, I would not know what, like, a good timeline would be for when to start that. I would just say don't do zero, because that was, you know, not what I was anticipating when I was like, I'm going to publish a book and it's going to be the best thing that's ever happened. I mean, it got me rolling, you know, and I kept going, so here we are, you know, 10 years later, and I have some level of people who buy my books when I publish them, so, I mean, anything that you do will get you, you know, moving along. So I don't think there's necessarily a right or wrong answer, but there probably is like a more beneficial answer. I had no interest in traditional publishing. I was like, I'm gonna do this, it's gonna happen, but also, like, I was a crazy teenager and did no research into the industry or like how publishing works or anything. I just Googled, I was like, how to self-publish, and the precursor to KDP, which is Amazon's print-on-demand company, the precursor to that was called CreateSpace, and it popped up as the first search, and I clicked on it, and I was like, here we go! I would suggest not starting out the way that I did, but with that being said, I'm here now. Like it was a step in the journey, and here we are, so it's, you know. I'd say I'm probably firmly in the self-publishing camp for myself, but I'm not in the place where, like, I think everyone has to self-publish, you know, because I think there's value to both routes, and everybody's different. And self-publishing, which I did not know when I started out, I knew nothing, like, you have to do everything. You have to wear every single hat in the business, and it's a lot, and not everyone has the time or energy for that, or the, you know, desire to be everything in a business. So, yeah, I honestly, for other people, I'm like, whatever works for you. They're both awesome.